Okay, this is going to be a simulation of my van, basically. So I did a van video with Tethered, I don't know, a couple years ago, and it's got a lot of views. So I'm going to do another one for Eberhart Outdoors, and I'm going to open the door to kind of show you the process of how I get ready, and then I'm going to show you everything in my van. So as soon as I park, I slide my shoes off. And then what I do is I climb in the back of my van. It's real simple. Just give you a view. Usually the doors are all shut, but I just slide into the back of my van and I will sit on these totes. This is how I've got this rubber mat down here, and I can take this off, and I got the holes in it. I got this rubber mat specially because it has holes in it. So if my feet are wet or anything, the water drains through the holes and the surface dries faster. And then that also runs, there's a piece of plastic underneath it, so any water runs out there and it doesn't get on the carpet, because this has a little bit of a taper to it up here. So this is for a very specific reason. This is my changing area, and I've got plenty of room here. I can move from cart to cart, tote to tote, and change my clothes. So this here is my ScentLock backpack. What I'm sitting on here is my ScentLock suits, and I'm going to show you all of this stuff. But that's how I basically go about changing my clothes. I park the vehicle, you know, if it's cold out or if it's raining, whatever. I'm not worried about elements like you do with a truck. I'm just basically, I'm in dry, listening to the radio with the heat on. Whatever I need, I can do. I don't have to get out and stand on wet grass in the morning, or do grass, or put a mat down and pull all my stuff out from the back of a pickup truck, where you got to pull stuff out and put it on the ground or get it out of the way to get to the stuff up in front of it, because you got such a narrow little opening. Here I've got everything. If you want to come in here, I've got everything here. I'm going to show you everything, but this is packed for hunting. In fact, I'm hunting this afternoon. Everything's in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get out and pull everything out and show you exactly what I take with me hunting. Everything I need for hunting is in this vehicle right now. Loaded and ready. This is my mini hotel room. So I do want to say this before I get started on taking everything out. As soon as I step back between the seats, you see this? These are Pampers. I usually use Pampers or Huggies. These are sensitive, perfume-free. So these are scent-free baby wipes. And I think you get like 80 of them in a tub. So I'll pull one of these out once I get between my seats, because scent-free is a big deal to me, keeping scent-free. And I will wash my hands down with one of these scent-free wipes before I change my clothes. That way my hands are clean and I can actually touch stuff. Now what I'm also going to do right now, because I'm going to be handling hunting clothing and layer garments, is aside from over and above this, you know, this is what I do when I'm changing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to reach in my backpack tote, and I always have a pair of ScentLock gloves right on top. So because I'm going to be handling a lot of stuff that I physically hunt with, I'm going to put these gloves on so I don't get any odor on anything. And then I'm going to take you through everything in the van. Gloves are kind of tight. We're going to open all the doors. And even up here in the front, let's start in the front. Might as well start in the front and kind of go around. So in the front, I've got my suitcase. So if I'm going to spend the night any place, I've got extra clothes in here, extra socks, underwear, blah, blah, blah. I have some little food stuff that I eat when I'm driving. And then I have, this year I've been using these sticks. I used these when I shot that buck the other day. These are Tethered 1 sticks, and Carl Kasuth put these 8ers on, and these have been washed in scent-free detergent. So I've got 3 1 sticks here, and the other 3 are in the box. So I've got 6 1 sticks with 8ers on each one. Something else that I have this here is a boot warmer, or a boot dryer, I should say. And this one here has the option, I don't remember the brand, but this one here has the option of you can plug it into 110 or plug it into your cigarette lighter. So let's say I'm hunting in the morning, my boots are a little bit damp, I'm going to use the same boots in the evening. I'll plug this into my thing when I'm driving or when I'm parked and just waiting around, and I will have these in my boots. These just slide down into the toes of your boots, and my boots will be sitting right up here on the passenger floor. So that's where I keep that, is on the passenger floor. Another thing that I have, and this is again for public land and private actually, because there's two separate things in here. In these side panels, again I'm using the sticks, but in these little side panels of this ScentLok fanny pack, I've got Cranford strap-on steps, but I took the Cranford straps off of these, and I put these Versalinks. I think I got these from Tethered actually, but I put these Versalinks on here because with these I can get in a lot bigger tree. Now these are folding steps, and as you can see with this, I can go around a pretty big diameter tree. Basically this just goes around, and then these things, these have all these little links in them, just a solid continuation of links, and I just put whatever link fits the diameter of the tree, slide it onto that notch, and then that hooks up to the tree like that. So I've got several of these that I can either use as my ring, or if I want to get higher than what those one sticks will take me, I've got some additional steps so I can go up a little bit higher. And then for my ring, this is what I'm typically using on public land. Now this is called a Cranford Scaffold ring of steps, saddle scaffold ring of steps. And as you can see, these are raw steel. Now the ones they sell online are painted, and I do believe if you called Cranford and asked for raw steel, they would probably sell them to you at the same price. But I like the raw steel because when they paint them, if you've got rubber boots on and your foot touches the side of the step that's against the tree, because these are folding steps, it'll make a little bit of a creak noise, like a skid mark on a basketball court with a sneaker. So when it's raw steel, they don't do that. The paint is what makes it make that noise. So this is a ring of steps, and I've got 6 steps on this ring, and I can take some off if I don't need 6. If I'm hunting a smaller diameter tree and only need 4, I can take 2 steps off before I set this up. And again, I have some additional, strap-on Cranford steps here with the Versa links on it. And then I also carry this. Now this is for private. This will get me in any tree I need to get in. So basically this here's got a tree hopper drill in it someplace. Right here. So this here drills holes, and it's got this little screw on the front, so as soon as you get it going, it just self-taps. And once I drill that hole, I think I've got 22 or 24 of these. These are grade 8, 3/8-inch diameter bolts. So these here will support anybody. These grade 8s are really, really hard. So once you drill the hole, these just slide in the hole, and basically when you come down, you pull them out. But again, these are typically for private because you're not supposed to drill a hole in public property trees. And I think I've got 22 or 24 of those, and then also in there I have some bow holders too. So this little package right here, that's it. I can go 30 feet up in a tree with my steps, put my ring in, put bow holders, everything's in this little tiny pack right here. But again, this is for private property because you're drilling a hole in a tree. But that's in this same pack. that back. So I've got my clothes and that stuff up there. Okay, I typically carry a target around, especially if I'm going to be gone a few days. I like to take a practice shot just to give me confidence. And usually when I take practice shots, it's always with a broadhead. I've got a broadhead on basically a practice arrow. So it's, it's been shot a lot. And so I like to make sure I'm shooting when I'm practicing during the season. I always want to shoot a broadhead now and then, just to make sure it's flying the same as my field tips when I'm practicing at home. Now this here is a boot dryer. This one here happens to be an old Pete. And so this is a convection dryer, just heats at the bottom and it just kind of transmits upwards. There's no fan on this one. So this is an overnight dryer. If I got a pair of boots and they're wet, when I'm done hunting in the evening, I'll put them on this dryer and then they're dry in the morning. Nice little carry case. Now these are my extra grabber. I've got hand warmers. I've got adhesive body warmers in here. I've got toe warmers. Got mega warmers. Those are just my extras. I also have some in my backpack. Carry Slim Fast. That's my breakfast in the morning. I have a gallon jug of water in here. And then this here is my ScentLok backpack with my accessory items in here as well. So I've got my binos in here if I'm going to hunt an area that's relatively open, which is pretty rare for me. I'll throw these Meopta 8x25 binocs in there. These are just badass binoculars, man. Meopta and Swarovski are the two top glass makers for optics in the world. They're out of the Czech Republic. They make, Meopta makes optics for Zeiss, Night Force, Abrams, all Abrams M1 tanks have Meopta glass in their sighting systems. So Meopta, you can't go wrong with anything from Meopta. I carry some extra tree tethers in here. I got an 8mm, 11mm, got an extra ScentLok backpack down here, exactly like that one. Right now in my pack, which I'm going to show you in a second, I've got a full season, which is a mid-weight ScentLok head cover. And then this here's a lightweight when I keep this one right on top in case it's, a lot of times in the afternoon I don't need the midweight, I want a lightweight, so I'll switch it to this. And then I also, in this pack, will carry some ScentLok base garments. And they're very lightweight. And a lot of times I will actually, on entries, if it's like 75 degrees, I'll wear these ScentLok base garments to my tree. And I have actually hunted out of these before if there's no wind or very light wind. You can actually hunt out of these base garments because they have the same carbon in them as a ScentLok suit, an exterior suit. And there's an extra mid-weight head cover. I carry some extra calls in here. This is an old MAD Grunt Wheeze call. Carry an extra saddle. And then this bag here, this is an old carbon lined bag, and I've got extra gloves in here, extra head covers, face masks. This is just full of additional accessories because I reactivate or deabsorb my head covers and gloves more frequently than I do my suits. So a lot of times, if I'm on a couple-day trip, I will swap out head covers or gloves while I'm still wearing the same ScentLok suit, which may be 4 to 6 hunts, 4 to 6 hunts, and then I always, at least 4 to 6 hunts, deabsorb my ScentLok. Early season, if I'm wearing a Savannah suit, lightweight suit, where it's getting more perspiration, more odors in it, I'll probably deabsorb that every 2 to 3 hunts. But midweight stuff, because you got layers underneath it, a little less frequently. But the head cover and gloves, because it's against your hair, a lot of bacteria, same with your hands, I will swap those out more frequently than my suits. So I guess I'm not taking that off. I'm going to show you what's in this real quick. I should never say real quick because I don't know what real quick is. Okay, on my Scentlock backpack, I always have a watch hanging here because my backpack's going to be hanging off to my right-hand side when I'm in my saddle. And and it's because it's about 120 degrees to my right, all I got to do is turn my head a little bit to the right, and there's my watch. So I can tell exactly what time it is without having to pull all my stuff up on my wrist and see what time it is. You wonder what these safety pins are for? A lot of times if I'm wearing a jacket and it's kind of loose right in here, just to make sure I don't slap that with my string, I'll pin that arm over, pin the fabric over so it's tight, and then I'll put an arm guard on. So in my left exterior pocket, I've got an inhale grunt call. This is one that I made. It's really soft. It's really good when deer are close. I carry a rattle bag. This is an old Nightingale. It's probably 25 years old. And it just has a really nice sparring tone to it. Not super aggressive like see on TV, because those guys, they don't hunt pressure deer, so there's lots of mature bucks and they make lots of noise when they fight. You get in a pressured state and you're looking at 90 to 120 inch deer. That's the biggest they are, and they just don't make those big aggressive sounds. So this one replicates, smaller bucks. Big, if you make really aggressive noises like you see on TV, you're going to spook more deer than you're going to call in. This here is an exhale call, so this is a little bit louder than that inhale. That's the exhale grunt. And then I also carry a Gerber saw. And the reason I carry a Gerber, you never know when you need to cut something, but Gerber also makes a blade. This here will come right out. This screws off. So you can take this wood blade off, and they also make a bone saw blade, which I will show you in a minute. So I can swap this out if I want to cut the pelvic bone, so I can spread that and take the urine bag out. Okay, this one here is pretty quick. This pocket over here, really simple. It's got a water bottle and a pee bottle. So for peeing in a tree, I pee in a bottle. And there's that Aquafina bottle holds 20 ounces of water. Then in the front pocket, I carry my Scentlock gloves. That's what I use for going in the woods with. Climbing up the tree, I carry a rope. A lot of my trees have ropes in them, but I always carry an extra rope. You never know when ropes are going to be cut or you need a rope. And then I carry several flashlights. Now this one here is a stream light, and it's a single AAA, and it's really bright. Very awesome light. That's like a $70 flashlight. But these two here are just cheesy. They're both, this one's a 2 AAA, this one's a single AAA. And this is made by Innova. I don't even know if they make flashlights anymore. But I use this for my entry and exits most of the time. It's just a very broad beam, single AAA flashlight. I would never use a headlamp because it's just way too bright. If you think you're not spooking deer getting out of the tree after dark and you got a 300 lumen headlamp on shining all over as your head's turning, you're crazy. Headlamps, if you're hunting out west where, there's lots of mature bucks and there's not a lot of hunting pressure, and they tolerate a lot of stuff, that's fine. But when you're hunting in pressured areas and you're going in with a headlamp and bright stuff, deer see that. They can see that when I'm hunting public land. If I'm in a half a mile, I can see in the morning before it gets daylight when somebody pulls up a half hour before daylight and they get out and they put their headlamps on walking through the swamp. I have deer run by me. I can see that lamp for I could probably see it for a mile if I could see that far. Without the foliage and stuff. But you're just scaring deer, whether you know it or not. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm getting out of the woods, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Everything in a pressured area matters. You think just because that hunt's over, you can do whatever you want, make all the noise and spook everything? It doesn't work that way. You start spooking deer, the mature deer are going to become more nocturnal. They're not going to move before dark. So, and this one here is my blood trailing flashlight. This one here is 700 lumen, very bright. So this one's strictly for blood trailing. And that's all I have in there. And then in my main pocket, because I'm actually hunting today, got a pair of tethered knee pads. This is my stuff for hunting today, this afternoon, and it's probably going to get down around 40 degrees. This is my saddle, my modified saddle. So that's an ESS that's been modified a little bit. And then I have another inner fanny pack, and this one has, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, this has a mid-weight scentlock head cover. It has another head cover. This is just a mask to cover my face, whatever of my face is exposed. I have my release, arm guard, have some extra bow holders in here. I hope I have. God, I do. This here is my quiver adapter. So this quiver adapter screws into the tree, and my old PSC quiver attaches to this mount right here. So my quiver I always put up over my head. In this pocket over here, I have antihistamine tablets. So if I've got a stuffy nose or anything, I can take these tablets and it'll clear up my nose, and I won't have runny eyes if I've got a little bit of a cold. And there's also some throat lozenges in there in case I've got a sore throat. And I also carry an extra release in that pocket. You never know when you're going to drop something, so it's nice to have an extra release. So that goes in my pack. Now this here, this is a scentlock cross-tech vest. And I don't really care that this has carbon in it. That's kind of irrelevant, but it's a Primaloft insulation. This thing is seriously warm. So anyway, it's a scentlock vest, a cross-tech. I don't think they make it anymore, but it's got Primaloft insulation. So that's what I'm going to wear over my base garments when I get up in the tree and change my clothes out. And then this here is a Rivers West Cascade jacket. So this here is waterproof. I had the collar taken off. and restitched it, so it's just a nice round low collar. I don't like having too many collars on my stuff. They get all bunched up. And then down at the bottom, typically on morning hunts, I'll need a scentlock beanie. So that's a scentlock beanie. And then I also have Grabber. I've got hand warmers in here. I've got some body warmers that I put on my body. They're adhesive. They get to about 145 degrees max. So they keep your whole core area warm. And I don't put those on until I physically need them. I never wear them on entries. And then I got some gun gloves in here in case I get lucky. Got an extra Ziploc quart bag. And then this bag here, this is nothing but wipes. These are actual scent-free wipes, like those Pampers I showed you earlier. So those are in case I get up in the tree, I've been sweating on my entry. You know, now I'm going to put up, before I'll put on my scentlock head cover, I'll take one of those wipes out, wipe my face back down, and put it in that other Ziploc baggie and throw it away when I get home. So I've wiped everything down so it's scent-free. I wiped all that perspiration off. Also in this particular pack, the whole back side of this backpack has pockets in it. So I carry some napkins, tissues, which I use for you know what. I always carry a compass because I typically do not carry an Onyx. I have Onyx on my phone. I use it all the time, but I don't carry my phone hunting with me. I don't want to be enticed to be texting or calling or playing games or watching anything on my phone. I carry Tacks. I carry reflective Tacks, and these are in case I shoot a deer and I'm back in a swamp, which I just shot a deer the other day, but it was in the morning, so it wasn't a big deal. But a lot of times you shoot a deer in the evening and you're back in some nasty swampy area. Obviously I don't have my phone, so I can't mark it on my Onyx as a waypoint. So I'll take, when I recover the deer, I'll take these Tacks and kind of make some sort of a thing where I can go to the tree. I obviously know where the tree's at when I come back after dark to recover the deer. Then I'll have Tacks going to where the deer's at, and then I'll put quite a few Tacks around the actual deer where I need to gut it out or have gutted it out, and now I'm getting it for recovery. That way it's easy to find after dark. Before I did that, there would be times when I'd shoot a deer and it may have went 80 yards from my stand, you know, and it's after dark and it's like, well, I'll be able to find this. You go back after, you know, you go back and change your clothes or get somebody to help you out and you go back, it's a pain in the ass trying to find that dang thing. If, you know, obviously if you had marked it on Onyx, you could walk right to it, but other than that, it's really hard to find with just walking through the woods with a flashlight. So the Tacks give you a direct beeline from your hunting tree to where the deer actually is. I also carry, there's a pocket here. This is a 1.5 gallon Ziploc bag. So let's say I'm walking in and I've sweated up my bottom layer. And typically I know I'm gonna do that. So what I'll do is I'll carry an extra bottom layer in my backpack. So once I get to my stand, get up the tree, I'll take off my sunlock jacket, take off my base garment, and let my body air out, cool down, and then I'll wipe myself down with body wipes, and then I'll put my other new base layer on, and then put my clothes back on, and then I'll take that sweaty base garment, I'll put it in this bag, seal it shut so there's no odor coming out of it, and put it in my pack. And again, that's a 1.5 quart. You can put a lot of stuff in a 1.5 Ziploc. I don't wear my glasses hunting, so I've got a pair of little cheaters here. These are 3-power, 3.0 power. Obviously a gutting knife. And right here, this is that little Gerber bone saw. I don't know if you can see how tiny those teeth are for cutting through the pelvic. And this blade just comes off and attaches right in the place of that Gerber, you know, wood saw blade. So that's right in here as well. I also in this pocket have an extra key to my van because I have locked myself out of the van before. That's another story in itself. And I think that's about it for that pocket. Other than my hunting licenses are in there as well. But I don't think you need to see them. So, let me put this stuff back in here. Okay, there was a couple other items in this pack. So I've got a Leupold thermal imaging unit, and what I use this for is recovering deer after dark, or also if I'm hunting at a destination location like at an oak tree or an apple tree that's dropping acorns or dropping apples, I'll turn this thermal imaging on before I get out of the tree, because I don't get out of the tree till it's dark. And I'll kind of do a scan around me to make sure there's no deer that are close, so I'm not spooking deer getting down out of the tree. That's all I use this for, is recovering deer and checking to see what's around me before I get out of the tree after dark. But only at destination locations. That's why it's laying in here. It's not in my pack. Because tonight I'm not hunting at one of those spots. Also, this here, this is a doe bleat call, because I've got a tremor and I struggle with the cans. So this one you just tap on it and it makes just a perfect doe bleat. and I can't remember the name of the company that makes this. They make it to go on a bow, and when you basically you shoot the bow, it'll make a blat sound. The vibration in the bow will make it blat, and supposedly that's for so you're not spooking the deer with your shot. If you hit them, it doesn't matter, but anyway, that's what that's for. And then I do have, you know, Quaker Boy. I do have some doe cans. This one ain't working too good. We'll cut that out. Okay, and then some other stuff in the back of the van. I'm gonna throw this in here. See, it's easy to make that doe can go off. And that's battery powered. Oops, I forgot to put those in there. Okay, some other stuff I have. Got a camera. This is a small camera, a couple extra batteries in here, extra cards, mics. Now this little bag here, this is just a suit for getting deer out of the woods. If I shoot a deer and I need to drag it out, I don't like doing it with my scent lock on. So this here has a pair of military pants, some base garments, some socks, a thin jacket. So this is strictly used for getting deer out of the field. And in these side pockets, I've got, I think, a stocking cap here and a pair of gloves over here. This is a tackle box with, I got bow wax in here, flashlights, extra flashlights, field tips, practice broadhead here, 5-minute glue. These are extra broadheads here. Fawn in distress call, I do use that once in a while. I shot a big 8-point with this because I couldn't get the 8-point to come in, and he was with a doe during the rut, and I used this and the doe came in and he followed her and I shot him, so it worked out great. I've got extra fuzzy stuff here for my bow rest, extra peep sight tape, just a bunch of peripheral stuff. Another extra release. This here is basically undergarments. Now these are kind of cool. I've got icebreaker. I'm a big merino wool guy. Merino wool is absolutely awesome. It's not only keeps you warm, so it has insulating factor, but it also keeps you cool. It works both directions, and it doesn't itch. So I've got different weights of icebreaker. I'm also an icebreaker guy. Icebreaker, hands down, makes the best merino wool garments in the world. In the world. Not just in the USA, in the world. I've got my extra socks in here for hunting. This is stuff that I use a lot. So these are items that I have right up front, right there where I'm changing my clothes. I also have some silk. If it's really warm out, I'll wear these silk. The silk stuff is undergarments. I wore this the other day, actually. And it's just really nice and cool. And it's paper thin. And then I have quite a few. I used to rep for a company called Medalist, because I'm a sales rep in the hunting industry. And they made a line of several garments called Silver Max. So this has silver thread throughout it, which is an antimicrobial, and it never goes bad. Most of the stuff you not buy nowadays that says it's an antimicrobial, it's a treatment. So it's something that's treated with an antimicrobial. Once you wash it a few times, that antimicrobial's gone. This actually has silver threads throughout it, so it never, ever goes away. And if you look right here real close, this here is a t-shirt. This is just a very lightweight t-shirt, but you can see the silver in here. You can actually see the silver threads. Can you see that on camera? It's probably a little more noticeable on a black shirt. In fact, it's a lot more noticeable on a black shirt. Right there. That's all silver threads. So this is a natural antimicrobial. You can wash this a million times and it never goes away. I don't know if they make these anymore. I don't even know if Metalist is around anymore. So that's the lightweight stuff, and Metalist also made, you know, some little bit heavier weight. This is a mid-weight Metalist base garment, and it also has the same silver threads in it. So I'm kind of fortunate to have stuff that probably isn't made anymore that's pretty awesome. And again, this has silver threads in it. The Long Johns have silver thread in it. So this is stuff that I use all the time. I also have a huge tote back here full of base garments and undergarments. That there I use a lot. It's my overnight bag. My overnight bag, I got an extra pair of underwear, I got Alka-Seltzer, cold and flu medicine. Take that before I go hunting in the morning. Obviously all my junk I leave in case I got a headache, antiperspirant in here, speed stick antiperspirant. I actually carry some Zithromax, Z-Packs. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Z-Packs, but if I feel like I'm getting sick, I'll take a Z-Pack. I carry my soaps in here, my shampoos. Here's some Scentlock shampoo, body wash. I've got Dove hypoallergenic soap here. That's what I typically use. Got an alarm clock in here. That's been there for a long time because now I typically use my cell phone for my alarm clock. Anyway, that's my overnight bag. That's some cell cameras, some Browning cell cameras. I'm digging back into my sled right now, but this here is a fanny pack full of steps. So if I'm freelancing on private, I carry this. That's a climbing belt, which I don't need because the saddle is its own climbing belt now. But I carry a lot of these Cranford. These are what I use for my ring if I'm on private. It's because they have a flat surface on them. Basically, the threads fold into the side. But these are beautiful for your ring of steps. Carry a bow rope. And this here is for when I'm going to physically go out and prep a tree, spur of the moment. In fact, this is the exact same pack I used when I killed my biggest buck ever, 180 incher, freelancing. Just walked in the woods, found a tree, got in it, and shot that 180 incher. And then these two side pouches, I have steps for climbing up the tree because I don't use those single folds for climbing. I just use those for my ring because they're more comfortable and they have a flat surface. When I'm actually climbing a tree, I use these T-steps. And again, these are made by Cranford. So once you screw these into the tree, this screws into the tree and then this little prong here sticks up. So you're going to screw it in about probably that far. So you're going to have that much of a step. But as you can see, your foot's just going to hit on the top of this peak. So you couldn't use these for your rings because that'd be very uncomfortable on the bottom of your boot, especially if you got soft sole boots. So these are great for climbing because when you reach up and grab one of those for pulling up, you just got a great handhold because it's up at a pretty steep angle. So it's not something that's straight out where your hand could slide off it. So I've got 6 or 7 of these on each side in each one of these little pockets. These have been used a lot. But anyway, these are for climbing. 6 or 7 of these in each pocket gives me 12 to 14 steps for climbing, and that'll get me up easily to 25 to 30 feet. And then I've got, I think 6 or 7 of the single folds in there for my ring. Now this is something I've used quite often actually, and this is a block and tackle. So I've used it for putting deer on top of my van, but it's a long, I've got a really long rope in here. I think it's 100 feet, and it's on a 4-pulley block and tackle system. So there have been times where I'm going up really steep hills, especially when I've been out of state, where there's a lot of steep bluffs like there is in Ohio, and Iowa has some, where once I kill a deer, you know, I can barely climb up the side of these steep banks just by myself with my equipment. So dragging a deer up there is impossible. So I've got a cart in here, so I'll drag the deer, I'll put the deer on the cart, pull it to the bottom of the hill, and then I'll just tie off this block and tackle to a tree, hook it to my cart, and pull on the block and tackle until that cart gets up to that tree. Then I'll tie the cart off to that tree, take off the block and tackle, go up to another tree, 25, 30 feet up, hook it up and bring it up to that tree. And it's just a lot easier to pull that cart up with the deer on it with a block and tackle as opposed to dragging it, because there's no way I could drag it up the hill. Some of those hills are extremely steep. So I carry that just in case I need it. Now this one here just has some extra knives, some extra tissues, some extra dress gloves. It's got some extra tacks in it, extra flashlights, reflective tacks. It's got some soap in there. When I say soap, I'm talking hand soap. Also have an extra deer tracking flashlight, some extra batteries in here, AAA batteries and AA batteries, knife sharpener, card reader, just a lot of extra peripheral stuff in this little tiny tote. Stuff that over the years I've needed. And now I did a video recently on scent-free detergents, hypoallergenic scent-free detergents. And I've been on ScentLock's Pro staff for a long time. I don't even think they make this anymore. But I always carry a small jug of scent-free detergent in my van. So this here does not have ScentLock laundry detergent in it anymore. I just kept this jug, and then when I run out on this jug, I'll fill it up with like Arm & Hammer or Tide or Purex hypoallergenic, no scents, no perfumes laundry detergent. So I just keep this around because it's a small container. Now as far as for taking videos, because now we have Eberhart Outdoors, I also carry a Miopta carbon fiber tripod in my minivan, and I just did a video. I shot a pretty decent 8-point for public land in northern Michigan, and I did a video gutting it and dragging it out, and you know, when I came up to it, so putting it in, loading it into the van, and I used this for that along with that camera. It was all stuff I had pretty much in the front right side of my van, and a lot of that stuff that I use pretty consistently. Now in the back of the van, these two totes I don't get into very often, but this one here is a layer garment and base garment tote. It says right in there, insulated undergarments, take. So I know when it gets close to season, this is the one I have to take. And I will reorganize this because I have 2 totes full of base garments and underlayers, and I adjust them according to the time of year. So this one, I have a couple of heated vests. This is a new ScentLock reactor vest. And I'll tell you what, for you guys that have never wore a battery-powered heated vest before, these have carbon filaments throughout the back and the front, and has a little button on the front right here. You put a little battery in the pocket, hook it to a USB port, turn that on. It has low, medium, high. Man, they are unbelievably awesome. That one there is a ScentLock reactor. I also have, this one here is made by Walston. Now this one I bought online, and I think I paid 80 bucks for it. And this one here actually has a carbon fiber in the collar. And it's a short collar. I don't like big collars that stick way up. I think that's ridiculous because you have a collar on your exterior suit. Why do you need 2 or 3 collars below it? So this one's got a small collar. And again, same type of deal, except this one has a back and a front. So you have a control for the back panels, which also control the collar, or you have a control for the front. So that's high, low, and medium, back and front. This one's really cool. And I'll tell you what, that little collar, that one single element, that's all it takes to keep the back of your neck warm. They are absolutely awesome. And then this here little pack here, this is all my extra batteries. These are the batteries that go into the pockets of those. And you can actually buy these from Duracell. They're $24.99, and you can buy it at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and it comes with the USB ports, and these batteries will run those vests. And these actually last a lot longer than the batteries you typically get with the vests or jackets or whatever. There's another company called Mobile Heating. You see that in a lot of the sporting goods stores. They have bottoms and tops. These batteries will run those for a lot longer than the batteries you get with the suits because usually they're pretty cheesy batteries. This is a regular doe decoy, so this is a Montana doe decoy, and the poles are down there, down inside. This here is a Suntlock base bottom, and this is kind of a heavy weight. This here is another heated vest from Suntlock. It's the same brand. It's a reactor vest, but this one's black. So if you're ordering a vest, there's absolutely no reason to pay an upcharge for camo. I got mine from Suntlock because I'm on their pro staff. So I got one in camo and one in black. These also are carbon lined, but you don't need black because you're wearing this underneath your exterior garment anyway. And all you need is a vest just to keep your core front and your back warm. And that Walston is great because it has that carbon fiber in the collar. And then I keep my heavier weight icebreaker merino wool in here. Like this is a 260 weight. The ones that I had in that other little clear tote up there were 200 weight. They were a little lighter because it's still kind of early to mid-season right now. It's been pretty warm. So that's a 260 weight top. These are icebreakers here. And this is a 200 weight bottom. So this is a lighter weight. There's another pair of 200 weights. Icebreaker. Here's some Suntlock base bottoms. This is a heavyweight. It's kind of a brushed exterior to it. This here is another 260 weight icebreaker top. So I've got a lot of just extra garments in here. Here's another Medalist silver lined t-shirt. This here is an older Suntlock vest. As you can see, I took the collar off and had it stitched up. And this vest here actually has a membrane in it. So that membrane blocks the wind. So when it starts to get cold and I don't need a heated vest, I'll wear something like this as a layer underneath my Suntlock jacket to help break the wind and keep my core warm. So basically, when I was unloading my physical backpack that I'm going to be using today hunting, it had a vest in it with a thin amount of Primaloft insulation in it. But if I don't need that warm of a vest, I'll put something like this in it. And I have several other layer items in here. This here is a Cross Tech jacket, which is also lined with Primaloft. This is a layer garment. This is another vest that has a membrane in it. This is a Suntlock vest. And again, I cut the collar off. Don't like to have lots of collars. This one's a little bit warmer than that one. Have multiple pairs of socks in here, heavier weight socks. That's why they're in here and not in that little small tote, because I don't need this warm of socks yet. Got another Rivers West Cascade jacket. This was just a street jacket. You know, this was not a hunting jacket, but it's waterproof, so it's obviously windproof, and I cut the collar off that as well. It's just a great layer garment to block the wind. I don't care how many layers of clothing you have on. If it's cold out and it's windy, if you don't have something with a polyurethane membrane in it to block the wind, you're gonna get cold. It'll bite through all that stuff as long as, if your clothes are all permeable. You need something to block the wind to keep your core warm, because that wind will blow right through anything if it's permeable. I don't care how many layers you got on. And I have some other icebreaker stuff down here at the bottom. Just some more icebreaker base garments, some more socks, another extra saddle. I don't know why I carry so many saddles. Ooh, I'm glad I looked down there. I was looking for that. Okay, I'm gonna set that over here. Now all of this stuff here has been washed in scent-free detergent, and immediately out of the dryer goes into these totes. So as soon as I wear anything out of here, it does not go back in that tote again until it's been washed and dried in scent-free detergent and then dried. I may wear something that I take out of here 2 or 3 times, but it's not going to go back in that tote till it's washed and dried. I may take that item, if I'm going to wear it again, and just lay it in the back of my van, because it's going to be underneath my scent lock, so I'm not worried about the odor on it too awful much. But because it does have some odor on it, it is a little bit contaminated. I'm not going to put it back in with all the clean stuff, because this stuff's all clean. It's all pristine clean. This here's an old military duffel bag. I keep this duffel bag and this decoy kind of outside. It's in my outside garage, so it doesn't have any odors on it. And I typically only handle this when I've got scent lock gloves on, but it's a Carry Light upright doe decoy. It's a hard body, and I've trimmed all of the parts on there so it goes together relatively quietly, and I've got a video on decoys and stuff like that on our YouTube channel. So if you wanted to see what that looks like, it's got a tail wagger on it, so you can use it with or without the tail wagger. And the tail wagger runs on 8-second or 16-second modes. A lot of times when I'm out of state, decoys work great. You can get it when you're out west, you get a deer's attention and he sees a decoy and he's not with a doe, he'll come right to it. It's a done deal. Michigan's a little bit different. We've got so many does and so few dominant bucks. Does typically will spook from a decoy. So I use that primarily when I'm out west, but there are certain situations in Michigan where I will use it. I've killed a couple bucks with a decoy in Michigan. I think only one of them made book. This is the bow I've been using. It's one I shot my buck with the other day. And this is a VXR. I always carry a spare bow. This is a Halon X. They're both set at 45 pounds. They both have the same quivers, same sight systems, same drop-aways. I don't think you need to see the bow. Again, this tote here says take, because I have 2 Rivers West totes that are full of Rivers West clothing. So this one here is the one I keep in my vehicle, and I alternate the clothing according to the temperature that I'm going to be hunting in. So this has a Rivers West pack, and this is a waterproof pack. All Rivers West stuff is waterproof, everything they make. Everything has tape seams. Some of the items don't have tape seams, they just have a really unique way of making fabric where you can wash it and throw it in the dryer as much as you want and it stays waterproof, but it does not have tape seams, and I don't think there's another manufacturer that does that. But anyway, this here is the exact same pocket design. Kathy Kelly made these out west. I sent them out to her, custom made. Rivers West sent me the fabric, just like Scent Lock sent me fabric for the Scent Lock vests I use. So this one perfectly replicates my Scent Lock pack, and if it's raining when I'm leaving my vehicle to go hunting, I'll swap everything out into a waterproof pack. This is a Rivers West head cover I designed for them. This is called a Radial Hat. It's waterproof, has an adjustment on the back, and it's basically like those fishing hats, or it's like a Columbia widgeon hat. So it has this flap on the back, so I don't have to wear a hood. I can wear this, and my ears are exposed, and as it rains on this, and then this is overlapping the back of my collar, so the rain just runs down the back of my jacket, and it's got a real short bow bill on it. And then these are just, everything in here is Rivers West. Every piece of garment in here is Rivers West. This here is just a mid-weight rain suit, bottoms. And I love their pocket designs. This here's another one. This one here is a new backcountry. And to give you an idea, this is the old method that Rivers West used to do quite a few years ago. So this here, these new garments, this backcountry original. So if you're watching this video and you want to get probably the best rain suit out there, this is called the backcountry original. It's got a real high collar in the back. It comes with a hood, which obviously I zipped off, because I wear this in conjunction with this radial hat. That way my ears are exposed so I can hear. In the rain, these flaps overlap each other. The rain just runs down the back of my neck, or back of the jacket. But this here has a polyurethane membrane in it, but it does not have tape seams. The way they stitch this, you can wash this in hot water, and you can dry it in a hot dryer, and it will not affect the waterproofing. Every other waterproof suit made, if you look at the hang tag on care instructions, it'll say, you know, wash in cold water and then let air dry, or just run it on an air cycle in the dryer, because the heat from the dryer will actually delaminate the tape on the seams of the polyurethane membrane. So with this, you don't have to worry about that. You can wash it however you want to wash it, throw it in a hot dryer. Actually, the more you wash it and dry it, the more waterproof it becomes, because the fibers of the fabric fill the stitch holes. Here's an old backcountry. So this was the original, way back original, back in 2005 or 6, backcountry. This is made exactly the same way as that. Got some other hats here. This here's a lightweight Rivers West. This is called Pioneer. Now this one here has tape seams. This is a lower end. Typically, that's a very expensive process to make that without taping seams, yet still being waterproof. So this is a Pioneer. So this is what I use if I'm recovering a deer in the rain. It's just got a little taffeta liner. It's got a polyurethane membrane, but tape seams. Lower end piece. And I've just got a lot of different. There's another old backcountry jacket. I just love the backcountry. It's just an awesome, awesome suit. And again, they come with a hood. I take the hoods off. I don't like them. This is another one, and this one actually has a hood that's in the back of the collar. So this one doesn't zip off. You just unbutton this stuff and the hood flips over the top. So this I don't mind wearing, because I always keep the hood in underneath with the radial hat on. So, over here to the side, Joe, if you want to come up here a little bit. Over here to the side, I keep some plastic bags, keep a roll of bags. And what I usually will do with those, got some extra knee pads down there, is if I'm wearing some of these like base garments that I mentioned and I want to wear them again, well, I'll wear them 2, 3, 4 times possibly before I wash them and dry them. When I take them off in the vehicle, I'll put them in one of these plastic bags. So then that plastic bag is going to be up front, and then the next time I go hunting, I can just put it on before I leave the vehicle. But before it goes back into the tote, it gets washed and dried in scent-free detergent. This here is my suits. And again, it says take. Soundlock suits. And this here, for this type of weather, this is my favorite suit. This is a Scentlock wind brace. This here, my wife keeps telling me I need to quit saying this here. That's not a proper term. So this particular pair of pants and this jacket on this wind brace, it has a polyurethane membrane in it, but it does not have tape seams. So it's wind resistant, it's windproof, but if it rains hard, you're gonna have water seep through wherever there's a seam because the seams are not taped. So, but it's gotta rain hard. I mean, it's gotta rain really, really hard before you get water coming through the seams, because basically you got two pieces of Scentlock fabric, and they both have polyurethane membranes in them, and they're basically overlapped and stitched. So you could imagine you've got two polyurethane membranes that are overlapped and stitched. It's got to rain pretty hard to get water down through those stitchings. So that's the pant. This is the jacket. Again, I like this jacket. It's got a short collar on it. Doesn't have one of those big cumbersome weird collars. And it's just a basic cut. And it's cut nice because I can put a lot of layer garments underneath this thing. It's got room in the arms and in the sleeves and in the body where I can put 2 or 3 layer garments underneath this and, you know, and have it work. Some of the suits that they make, the sleeves are too tight and you can't put, you know, you can maybe put one base garment underneath it, but you can't put any other layer garments, you know, like some of my heavier layer garments, which I don't really have here. They're for cold weather. Because the sleeves are just too tight. They won't go in the sleeves. So this suit's awesome. No insulation in it, but it's got a deep nap fleece to mask the noise of the membrane, the polyurethane membrane. Great suit for like 25 to 40 degrees, which during the rut, that's your primary temperatures where we live. That's usually what the temperatures are going to be in. So that's the wind brace. Now this is a Vortex, exactly the same. They just changed the name. So this was the first one they did in that fleece with the polyurethane membrane. Seams are not taped. I actually had a lot to do with getting them to make this suit. It took me about 5 years to talk them into doing that because I wanted a suit that was quiet and it had a membrane in it to block the wind. Because like I said before, the wind is a major, major deal. If you're wearing permeable clothing and it's cold and it's windy, you're gonna get cold. You have to have something to block the wind. So there's 2 mid-weight to cold weather suits. I wouldn't call them mid-weight, I'd call them more cold weather, mid to cold. And then this one here, this is a Savannah suit. This is lightweight. Jacket and pant. And this is another, it's lightweight. I really love this pattern. I think this is Real Tree Escape. Just love this pattern. This is a really, really nice suit. This is in my opinion, this is the best Savannah suit they've ever made. And I've been wearing their Savannah stuff for 20 some years. But it's gotten a little bit lighter every year and just awesome stuff. I think it's called a Savannah Reign, R-E-I-G-N. This is a cross-tech jacket. They don't make this anymore. This is an exterior jacket. This is waterproof. So this has a polyurethane membrane in it as well as tape seams. So if it's gonna be a little colder than 25, instead of wearing that wind brace top that I showed you initially, the fleece top, I'm gonna wear this because this is completely waterproof, plus this has Primaloft insulation in it. The wind brace had 0 insulation. This has, I think, 100 grams of Primaloft insulation, which Primaloft, hands down, the best insulation made, period. End of discussion. Blows Thinsulate out of the water. And I have one full season suit. Now the full season suit, it's very similar cut to the Savannah. Savannah is a lightweight, this is a midweight. Right there it says full season. I like the pocket designs. It's got nice leg pockets. I never use any of these upper pockets because my saddle is covering them up when I'm hunting, but I use these leg pockets a lot. This is definitely one of my go-to suits when it's like 35 to 50 degrees. When it gets below that, I'm going to that wind brace. And I also like that pattern. That's the old mossy oak tree stand. So I got a jacket and pant. So in this particular tote, I've got a full season suit. I've got 2 Savannah suits. I've got a Cross-Tech exterior jacket that's waterproof. And I have 2 wind brace suits. So there's 5 suits in this particular tote. And then I do have some heavier stuff at home. So when it gets really cold in December, where I'm worried about 0 degrees to 25 degrees, I'll swap some of that stuff out. And then my go-to suit when it's bitter, bitter cold is going to be the Hydrotherm. Okay, now in the back, something I forgot to show. Why don't you come over here for a second? Because I'm in hunting mode right now, I just cut these off 8-point on Tuesday, and today is Friday. And I've had it in the freezer, so I just took it out. This is a tarsal, and it's ripe. So I'm going to be using this weekend as a scent drag. And in the back of my pocket here behind the seat, I've got my scent drag, ropes. And when I'm out of state, I don't use it in Michigan because I don't use commercial scents. This is not a commercial scent. This is real. This is off of a deer, so there's no bacteria on it, like there will be on commercial scents. And these are just cut up pieces of tampons. Tampons are scent free, and I'll hook these to one of these ropes and put whatever scent I want to use. And I only do that out west where the matured buck to doe ratio is really high. There's as many 4- and 5-year-old bucks as there are 4- and 5-year-old does. That doesn't happen here, and the deer out there aren't as smart. They're a lot easier to kill. And typically when I'm out there, I'm going to use something like this, Tink 69, but I always get it in this type of container. I never buy it in the bottles because this particular bottle, this is called a mister. And there's actually, inside of this, there is a bag, there's a sleeve, and that's where the urine is. So the urine never gets any oxygen because there's basically a propellant. When you push this button, it's under pressure, and it squeezes that bag, and it pumps some of the urine out. So it's not like a bottle where when you open it, you're letting oxygen into the bottle, and therefore you're getting more possibility of breeding bacteria. This scent that's inside here is within a container, and it compresses as you push this button. So you're not getting any propellant mixed with it or anything like that. And I also carry a lot of extra scent or Ziploc bags in the back of the seat. I also carry some of these ties, like for putting my one sticks together. Once I get them together, I'll flip these ties around them and tie them up. You just always use that kind of stuff. So I wanted to show that. This is what I'm probably going to be using this evening. Okay, and then we're going to get to the boots. This is something else I carry in my van. If I'm getting out, let's say I've gutted a deer, or I come in from an exit and I'm tired, I'll take my ScentLock suit off, and I'm just in my long johns, I may jump up front and drive away. Or if I've drug a deer out and I feel, with my regular, those clothes I showed you earlier that were in that Abu Garcia box or bag, if I'm going to wear them to the hotel or wear it back home and I'm too tired to change back into my street clothes, I'll just throw this on my front seat so I'm not getting any odors on my front seat. And I usually keep this outside all summer long, so this doesn't have any odor on it whatsoever. Concerning boots, all my boots are just stored. I get this question all the time, what do you do with your boots? My boots are just stored here. I put them in my van. They're kept in an outside garage, so they don't have any human odor on them whatsoever. I never wear them anyplace other than physically hunting. These don't get worn unless I'm stepping out of the van to go hunting, and once I get back in, they come off and go back here. So I don't get gas in them, don't go in restaurants with them or anything like that. Because it's early to mid-season right now, I have one pair of heavy pack boots, but other than that, everything's pretty lightweight. These are some Muck Arctic Sports. These here are probably what I will wear tonight. These are Muck Edgewaters, and these have been repaired. Muck makes really nice lightweight boots, and they've got really soft soles, but it's really easy to puncture. Anything neoprene, anybody that's fished a lot, and I've fished a ton all my life, you know, you wear 3.5 mil neoprene, it's real easy to puncture holes. These are a lot heavier than 3.5 mil, but still you can puncture neoprene pretty easy with sticks. And then I have some dry shod, same deal. These are a little bit better boots than Muck. This is a dry shod. That's kind of a light to mid-weight boot. I have some lacrosse Burleys. Again, these have neoprene uppers with PVC fronts. PVC is really, really lightweight. These are really nice boots, and they're relatively warm. I would definitely suggest those as hunting boots, or any of these actually. And then I did a video on boots earlier in the year, and these are gum leafs. These, I'm not wearing these hunting. I have them in here for getting deer out of the woods, or for if I'm going to do some in-season scouting or something. They still have a lot of rubber odor on them because these are 85% rubber. These are handmade in the United Kingdom. These are the baddest rubber boots made, period, end of discussion. This is a $350 set of boots. This one has zippered gussets on the side, but they're made for upland bird hunting, so they fit your foot a lot better than, you know, just generic boots like lacrosses and Mucks and stuff like that. This has a lot better fit on your foot. It's easy to get your foot through the throat as well. Once I have these seasoned for a year or two, once I feel like I can hunt with them where there's not a lot of rubber odor, I'll start hunting in these. But for now, these are what I'm using for peripheral stuff, and they're just really well made. I mean, really thick. These have insulation in them, Vibram soles, nothing cheap, no cut corners on these boots whatsoever. And again, those are 350 bucks. They have some a little bit less money, don't have as much insulation in them. I think their lowest price ones are like $260 retail. And I think you can only get those online, but gum leaf boots are awesome. And I have a pair of Allen, just cheesy little hip boots. Very lightweight, 2-ply nylon uppers, PVC boots, no insulation. And when I'm going in and I know I have to cross a creek or a river, I'll typically wear my hunting boots to the river, swap them out, wear the hip boots, cross the river, and then I put my boots back on once I cross the river, leave the hip boots there, and do the exact same opposite when I come back out. But these are very lightweight. PVC doesn't weigh anything, and obviously neither does a 2-ply nylon. So very easy to carry in. And then, as I mentioned, I have one pair of pack boots here, just in case it gets cold, which I doubt it will. But these are old Red Ball pack boots. So they've got some seriously nice liners, and there's also insulation in the body of the boot. It has a number 2 on it because I have 2 pairs of these, and I try to keep them with each other because I don't want them to wear differently. And obviously I didn't do a very good job because that's got number 1 on it. Okay, so if it gets really cold, that's what I'm going to go to. Now, right now, you can't buy those anymore. That company's out of business. But if you're looking at getting a pair of pack boots for really cold weather, you know, like 10 degrees, there's a company called Baffin, B-A-F-F-I-N, and they make a boot called a Titan. Best hunting boot made right now for cold weather. And it is also a pack boot. And they're not that expensive. I think they're $130. And you can buy them online. Now this is a doe drag, or a small buck drag if I'm helping somebody drag out a spike horn or a 4-point, which happens in Michigan a lot. And basically I can adjust the length of this rope with this knot, and then this rope just slides underneath the neck. You pull the feet up by the head, this goes underneath the neck and around the legs, and then this slides back through that, and then you just lift up and you got a handle for dragging deer. And I like to keep it relatively short because when you're dragging, you want to keep the head just off the ground a little bit so it's not catching on stuff. And then this is my old PSE quiver. I'm using a PSE mongoose sight, and my son Joe fletched these arrows. And I'm using 3-blade G5 strikers, 100 grain strikers right now, because I'm only shooting 45 pounds because I'm old and my shoulders are bad. And this is, that back in there, back up a little bit. This here is a VersaCart. Best cart ever made for dragging deer out. And they don't make them anymore. Anyway, rather than take that out, I guess. This kind of comes up here like this. This screw comes in here to hold this in place. The carcass of the deer lays right here. Those are to strap the deer in. And what's really cool about this, I just have this on here so it doesn't scratch up the side of my van. This will come off when I'm taking the deer out. As you can see, these tires are angled. They're at an angle like that. And because the carcass lays right on top of the axle, you buy a lot of these carts nowadays, and your bed of your cart is up here, and the tires are straight up and down. So when you got your carcass laying up here and your tires are straight up and down, as soon as you go over anything that's a side hill, the weight of that carcass wants to pull that cart right over. It tips right over to the side. So this one, because the carcass weight is on the actual axle, it's got a low center of gravity, and these tires are also angled, you can go over a pretty steep, you can go over a pretty big log, or you can go on a side hill, and it's not gonna tip. You do that with a regular cart with straight tires and the body up above the tires on a flat bed, that's gonna tip over. So this, by far, is the best cart ever made. And I've had a lot of carts. And I guess I don't really have to take this out, but this is an Otter Sled. I do have to take it out because I've got a ramp in here. This is an Otter Sled. I don't know exactly. There you go. It's a Otter. Doesn't really have a model number because they make different models. These are basically ice sleds. What's cool about Otter is the way that they're made. They've got really thick plastic. I used to buy jet sleds. They're less money, but they're really thin plastic, and the way they're molded down here in the corners, they wear out. Every time I drag 2 or 3 deer out, as soon as I hit any gravel or dirt, it would wear a hole in those corners. Now, one of the purposes of having a cart for me is I don't want blood on my carpet, because when I go to sell this thing, I don't care personally, but when I go to sell it, that's going to bring the value down. So I don't want holes in the corners, because when I put a deer in here, the blood's going to seep out that hole. So this heavy plastic, it's got heavy plastic on the corners because it's molded, it's not roto molded. It's just a far, far superior. I have only bought one of these. I've drug a lot of deer out of the woods with this cart, or with this sled. Now, typically my plan is, if I shoot a deer, which I'm usually by myself in Michigan anyway, I'll take the cart back over here, that VersaCart. I'll put the deer on the cart, I'll pull it out on the cart, and then once I get to the vehicle, I'll take the sled out, I'll dump the deer into the sled, and then my son John, he made this ramp. And this ramp basically goes on there. I don't think I need to take it all the way to the ground. It just kind of lays in the back of the carpet, goes onto the ground, and then I got the deer in the sled, and then I just slide the deer up into the back of the van. Then I take off I take the ramp, throw it on top of it, throw the sled on top, or the cart on top of the ramp. So it's a really simple process, other than getting old, and even this is getting hard for me. And I think that's about all I've got. If I'm taking my canoe, I do have a thing back here with a bunch of ropes in it for tying my canoe. I actually went and just bought these new car top carriers. Okay, I just changed these out. These are car top carriers. Well, not just, a while back. And the car top carriers that came with this van stopped right about here. And I have a Radisson 13-foot square stern aircraft aluminum canoe. Weighs 43 pounds and it's foam lined, so it's really quiet. And it wouldn't fit on the original car top carriers. So I went and bought these. These are another 8 inches on each side. So now the canoe fits on here, and I got about 3 or 4 inches on each side to spare. And these also lock, so that's kind of cool. Nobody can steal them. So anyway, this is, as Ernie said, this is my soccer mom minivan of death. That's what Ernie called it. And we did a video with Tethered, and it's gotten a lot of views, and I've just decided to do another one for our own YouTube channel. I love this van. I've had 5 Toyotas. When I buy them, I take all the seats out. The seats don't go back in until I actually sell the vehicle. Then I put some other layers of carpet down over the back. So it's just a nice wide open space in here. I mean, it's absolutely awesome for hunting. You know, I'm changing my clothes. If it's pouring out rain, I'm changing my clothes with the heater on and the radio going and nice and dry. When I step out of the vehicle, I've got all my rain gear on. I'm hunting. I'm going out hunting. You know, if you got a truck, you got to change in the rain because you got to get out of the truck to go back behind it and change in the rain. That's ridiculous. Also, you know, the only downside of a minivan is it's got a low, it's got a low center. So you can't go over big rocks, or, you can't go in ruts and stuff like that. But you got to know your limitations, which I definitely do. So, this is my mini hotel. I absolutely love it. I had Chrysler minivans. I always had problems with Chryslers, trannies, air conditioning units compressors going out, but I've never had a problem with any of the Toyota vans I've ever owned. And that's why I stick with Toyota. Chrysler doesn't make them anymore anyway, but Toyota or Honda. Honda makes a good one. But one of the primary things I love about Toyota is the floor is flat. The floor is flat all the way up, which is really nice. Nissan makes a minivan, and it has a 6 to an 8 inch rise in the back, so you don't have as much headroom. Toyotas are awesome. You never have problems with them. And anyway, this is all my junk. Already loaded a few of the items back before we did this last little clip, which we had kind of forgotten. And I hope you got to take something away from this. I'm relatively detail oriented, and I can slip back and sit on either one of my totes, and everything is within arm reach. And if I do need something out of my Rivers West or my insulated undergarments tote, they're right there pretty handy too. It doesn't take me long to get into those. And I can usually, by the time I slip back between my seats, if I was hunting with one of you and you had a pickup truck and we pulled up to the spot and you were behind me or I was behind you, we started at the same exact time, I 100% guarantee I'll be ready to go in the woods before you will. Everybody thinks the scent control thing is it's so difficult, and it's not. If you're organized and you're detail oriented, once I step between those seats, if I want to, if I'm in a hurry, I can be out that door in 3 minutes and ready to walk in the woods, ready to walk into the woods hunting. I've hunted with a lot of guys in my life. And I am always, 100% of the time, I have always been ready before they have when I'm hunting out of my minivan and they're hunting out of their trucks or whatever. Because everything is so organized. The more organized you are, more detail-oriented you are, the more successful you're going to be, in my opinion. The scent control thing is super simple. It's all in the preparation. It's just like deer hunting. 90% of your work, once you got all your scouting and location preparation done, you know, that's the majority of the work you've had to put in for the year. Then during hunting season, you get to enjoy the perks of all that hard work. Same deal with scent control. You know, the care and how you care for and store your activated carbon clothes and your undergarments and your rain gear, your boots, you know, not wearing them in gas stations, restaurants, all that stuff makes a difference. So once you learn how to organize everything, it's really, really simple to not have to pay attention to wind direction. It's a very, very simple procedure because it's all in the preparation. And I haven't paid attention to wind when hunting for 20 some years, 21 years. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you could take something away from this and possibly learn something. And please like and subscribe to our station.